Okay, welcome back. Janet Adetu, the etiquette coach, is in the house, and she's talking this morning about desktop dining. Okay, good to have you here.
Thank you so much.
So what's this about?
I mean, desktop dining. I guess at some point in time in our lives, we all do it, or we've all done it at some point in time. But it's really about the place where you are most productive, eating at that place. Now, you could be doing a snack attack, yes, a quick sneak peek of food, you know, and that way your table is just for snacking or whatever. Or sometimes some people turn their workspace into a full-fledged dining table. So they bring out the whole thing, the whole works, and they eat. Now, it's not to say it is entirely wrong, but it is bad for many reasons, and I'm going to mention why.
Which one of it that you just do snacking, you know?
Either, you know, okay, sometimes, you know, you're at your table and you have a cup of tea, right? We understand having a cup of tea, you know, but by the time you start bringing out, you know, a whole lot of sandwiches and biscuits and stuff and all of that, which is a snack attack bid, guess what? Just take one biscuit at your table, the crumbs already, the ones you see, the ones you don't see, all right, begin to accumulate on your table. And there are many reasons why we shouldn't really eat either way at the table. So cup of tea, cup of coffee is fine. It's when you start bringing out food, even at that snacking point, that it gets out of hand. And then when you now say you want to bring out your entire bowl of rice or whatever, you bring out the water, you bring out the drink and everything. I mean, the whole sense behind it is this. Research has actually told us that it is very important that you take at least 15 minutes to an hour, sometimes more, away from your desk to eat, to take a break, whatever, so that your brain can relax, rejuvenate, reactivate, restore. It's really important. And why do you want to do that? The whole idea is because you want to get motivated again. You know, when you take that few minutes break, your brain is relaxing, you're reactivating it, you know, you're rejuvenating it. And at the end of the day, you want to, you know, give yourself a break. When you come back, you even feel more motivated. If you stay at the same point where you work and you're productive, chances are you get stressed, you get overworked, you become grumpy, all right? And you become so moody because guess what? I mean, we all love our work. And let me not say entirely that, you know, sometimes it is true. We are so, you know, pressured for time that actually to take a 5-minute break from the spot sometimes might not be possible. I understand that.
5 minutes
you know,
break per hour?
No, you know, sometimes some people, you know how it's like, I've been so busy today, I forgot to eat. It happens, right? And it's because maybe you're working under pressure, and sometimes you're like, you're trying to meet your target, and you're trying to, you know, work, and sometimes you've forgotten to eat, or it's around 5 o'clock, then you say, oh gosh, I'm hungry, I need to eat. The truth is that you have overworked your brain, and the law of diminishing returns begins to set in, and you don't even realize it. You see, so it's not by accident. There is a lunch break in your 8-hour working time. There's a tea break, there's a lunch break. It is essentially so that you can, you know, reactivate your brain, remotivate yourself. You come back and you have other thoughts and other ideas. You do need to take that break. It's really essential. And sometimes
that break must be away from your desk.
Now, the break essentially, research says, should be away from the point where you are most productive. This is where you think, this is where you do your reports, this is where you do analysis, this is where you make your decisions. You need to come away from that spot. That's why I said, even if it's for 15 minutes or 10 minutes, then you come back. It definitely helps you in many, many ways. So the real reason, first of all, is for you to be more productive. When you start, sometimes you see some people, they've done so much work, their head is down, they're writing, but they're busy doing nothing because they're completely blank, exhausted, exaggerated. You know, at the end of the day, the thing is, does your brain need a break? Absolutely, it needs a break. So desktop dining is something that should be discouraged, especially in office settings, completely.
Okay, let's do a breakdown of reasons why it should be discouraged, besides the health side of it.
I would say, yeah. And Again, I have to emphasize that sometimes some people say, well, in my office space, we don't have a dining room, we don't even have a kitchenette, we don't have anywhere really where we can eat. So the only place we can eat is at the desk. Well, sometimes you may have a spare room, a spare office. That's why most times when you're planning an office, it's very important to remember that your staff need a place to dine, to make their cup of tea, even if it's a kitchenette, you know. Even in my office, I totally discourage eating at the desk for 1,001 reasons, which I'll mention, you know. And the truth is, even if there's an empty space, an empty office where no one is using, best take that place to eat. You know, sit down, geez, talk, say a few, you know, socialize a little bit in that hour or that few minutes break, and then come back to the place where you're most productive. And I have to say, I mentioned the fact that the brain really does need to relax.
Rest.
There are desktop dining dilemmas. First one is the brain needs to relax. You can imagine working for 8 hours. So just imagine someone is studying for an exam and studies for 10 hours at a stretch. By the time they want to do the exam, hello? Yes, because they didn't take a break. And that's why we say when you're studying, stand up from that point. Get up, stretch your feet, relax, take a cup of tea, water, whatever it is that you want to do. Come away from that spot. And then when you come back, you're much more rejuvenated. And it's not all about spending several hours at one spot, you know. So desktop dining, so some people will say, well, they've got all their sweets, their crisps, their everything, they want to study. All the snack attack is in front of them, you know. At that point in time, diminishing return.
We talked about snacks.
Yeah.
And before you get into the second dilemma,
yeah.
some offices actually place bowls of sweets on the desk of the workers and all of that. Is that allowed?
I haven't seen that. I have seen that during trainings, during facilitations, because by the time they take the sweet, it just sort of like refreshes them and all of that, you know. Even the art of opening the sweet and eating it is a way to relax. But that's not food. You see, that's not food.
So that's allowed? So
yeah, for trainings, yes, because the brain needs some brain power. Right? But when it comes to where you're working, you know, most times people say, I'm too busy, I can't go and eat and all of that. You do need to get up and stretch. So don't use your desk to dine, whether it's snack attacking or full-fledged sweet attack. All right? The other thing, again, is that, I mean, we do get people that eat at their desks, right? The aroma. You have to think about other people. Sometimes the aroma comes from people, you know, that have eaten, let's say 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 5 o'clock, the bowl is still there. The smell, the aroma, it's not even good for the office environment when you think about it. Yeah.
Customers or clients
will come in, you know. I mean, the first time I started my radio program was when I walked into an office setting, an official office setting. The first person that I met was the receptionist, right? And she's the first port of call. So my impression, the image I have of the organization actually starts with her. She was busy there eating her breakfast because this was at 8 o'clock in the morning. You know, right as I walked in, I was like, You know, on a normal day, you're like, oh, that smells nice. But not in the morning when you expect to, you know, be welcomed by her. She was busy eating her food at the desk. I said to myself, if her boss walked in, at that point in time, he would be furious with her. And because automatically, my image of the organization just dropped. It plummeted.
A receptionist,
you know,
having a mouth full.
Yeah, even when she greeted me, her mouth was full. So I was like, okay, this is desktop dining. And it's not like the aroma is not pleasant, you know, and most times you're not going to finish eating and then air freshen the room. You're just going to be normal.
Even if it's pleasant, you know, you don't want to make it look like it's a restaurant.
Exactly. It's your work environment. This is where you're most productive. This is where you earn your income. This is where we expect as an organization you put in your best. So the aroma is another thing that you really have to think about. Again, I mentioned about bugs. You might not see it immediately. You're snacking now. Most times we're snacking biscuits and bread and stuff like that. The little crumbs fall all over the table. You don't naturally notice it immediately. But guess what? It brings on bugs. And once they settle on your table, that's bacteria. Now, you might not notice it immediately, but just put your bag on the table or other items on the table. You are carrying away bacteria with you. And that's something that you need to be mindful of, because the bugs will come. The little insects, even if you don't see them, sometimes they're micro, right? And they begin to start germinating on your workspace. And you wonder, how do you pick up bacteria? It's as easy as that. you know. So that's why I think desktop dining is not something that we should engage in. Again, I think the image of where you work is very important. It says a lot about you, your space where you work. If you're a tidy person, we can see it around you. If you're an untidy, scruffy person, we can then again see it around you. So you can imagine some people actually dine on their table. So the cup is there that they use, the plastic container where they had the rice is there, the empty or half empty drink bottle is there. A whole lot of stuff is on the table. They don't even bother to take it away or clear it. So it's there and you're like, okay, I've already gotten an image of this particular person, you know, and it says a lot about you. A picture does paint 1,000 words. So you have to be mindful. It tells us your personality, your character, and your sense of responsibility as well. So you have to think about that. Again, I also say risks. I call them rollicking risks. Guess what? Fair enough. You're in a hurry to eat because you've got so much work to do. But you have a cup of tea, cup of coffee, or you've got your bottle of whatever on your table. There's a high risk of spillage. You know, you can accidentally knock something because you're trying to do so many things. You've got the electronics there that could get spoiled. You've got your confidential documents that could get spoiled. Anything can happen. Even when you think, oh, I'm so careful, that's when accidents do happen. So you have to think about, okay, the risk of, you know what, me working on my table, I've got all these things here. I've seen somebody have a hot cup of coffee pour all over his laptop. And it's like, oh my God, it was an accident, of course, but then the damage, it was irreparable. And then that's when he realized, oh my gosh, I will not dine at my desk again. Because these things do happen, you know. And it's really important that you take them into consideration. We expect that, you know, in most office settings, you know, bosses should not approve of that. You know, if they see it, then they should warn against it and give alternatives as to where they can. Sometimes your lunch break is out of the office completely. You know, you go down wherever you want to go and eat, and you go out and eat. Even that stretch and coming back is very, very good for you, you know. Space as well. Sometimes, again, I talked about your image. So, for instance, you have a whole lot of, you're a workaholic. Your desk is full of files, pens, you name it. Then you still want to eat, so you end up putting your food on top of what you're working on.